Hello students and welcome to the e-learning program initiated by Sri Gyan Manjri Vidyapith for the students of Standard 10, in which we are learning the subject of social science. Students, from the previous 4 lectures we have started with chapter number 13. Let us take a quick recap of what we have learned so far. Lecture number 5, today is lecture number 5 for chapter number 13, which is part of the geography section of the syllabus. Name of the chapter is Manufacturing Industries. It is not only important from the point of view of objectives. Apart from objectives, we have question answers also from this chapter. We have map work also from this chapter. So this chapter has lots of importance for us. Next thing is, as industries are there, industries will be located at a specific place rather than a complete region. For example, in chapter 10, we learned about the crops, agricultural crops, right? In which we learned wheat, as far as grains are concerned, wheat, rice, that is paddy. Then uh, fiber, we have cotton, we have jute. Then uh, pulses, and the beverages crops, oilseed crops. So they are grown over a large area. For example, if you are asked in the map of that, uh, mark a region growing cotton, then almost whole of Gujarat you can mark, because most of the parts in Gujarat, barring the western parts, that is uh, Kutch, Bhuj and Kutch areas, uh, those are, because that's a desertic area. Apart from that, Saurashtra region, North Gujarat also, lots of places cotton is grown. Same way, Maharashtra, a complete whole of the Maharashtra grows cotton. So there you have to mark a complete state because it grows. For example, sugarcane, for example, wheat. Whole of the state of Punjab, whole of the state of Haryana is growing wheat. So we can mark the complete state. But whereas if you come to chapter number 13, when you are asked to mark a specific industry, then place, state, okay. But there a particular city has to be marked where that particular industry is established or found. So in this way, particularly, we do not have approximation which usually we can use in chapter number 10 for marking chapter 10. But when we come to industry, we have to be quite specific about the state in which that industry is, and in that state approximately where that center is. So this 1 mark which we get from this chapter, we should not lose in map working. So now let us take a quick recap of what we have learned so far. We are doing the complete revision again, so that we are very sure what we are going to learn from this chapter, because small points are there, and 2 mark, 3 mark, you have to remember a lot of things, memorize a lot of things, and you have to know in which states particular industries are, what are the advantages of that industry, what are the disadvantages of that industry, what are the plus point for that industry, what are the negative points for that industry. So all that you have to write. First time which where it was established, then it developed in which all centers. So बोलने के लिए 2 mark या 3 mark है, but you have to remember, memorize a lot, and put that in the answer. So again, if we come to the revision part, what is an industry? The natural resources that we have, that a man can change into usable condition with the help of his intellectuality, culture, and economic capacity, that is called industry. Then we learned that existence of industry is very important in this new modern world, because a country's development, the country's economic development, social development, cultural development, and economic progress, all of that is marked very much by the number of industries it has, number of good performance of those industries in different sectors. That tells us about what the economic, it projects what good economic progress that country is going to have in few years. Right now, what is the scenario of that economic scenario of that country, we can know by its industrial development. So industry is very important for the progress of a country, and it can be considered as a backbone for the economic development of a country. Industrial development started very late. One of the main reasons is during the time when industrial development was happening in the rest of the part of the world, India was ruled by the Britishers. We were under the British rule, and they had certain policies where they did not allow us to uh, have any advancement. Whatever we on industries we had at the time, the policies made sure that those industries were coming down to a close, and that industry shut down so that the British industry can thrive on the selling of the uh, British goods that are sold in India. So in that way, industrial development started very late, and we were not allowed to develop. India was quite rich and prosperous from the excavation that was done from the Indus Valley civilization, Harappan Valley civilization, and from different parts of India. We can say that even in those days, we had a proper industry. People were rich and prosperous because of those industries, although it was not a mechanical one. Yes, but technically speaking, we had that insight of making industries, making things on a bulk so that it can cope up with the demand, internal demand of the country, of that area. Plus we can have lots of it so that we can export outside and other people can come and buy it. So India was quite rich and prosperous because of its industry. The first industry, that is iron melting industry, was started in way back in 1853, but due to some reasons it was closed down because of the British policy. The first cotton textile mills 1854, same way 1855 a jute mill was established. You should know the year, you should know the name of the place and at the state in which it falls. 1874 we got the first blast furnace for iron and steel industry. It was established at Kulti in West Bengal, and it was closed down after some time, but again restarted in 1881. In 1907, Jamshedji Tata successfully started Tata Iron and Steel Company. In short, it is known as TESCO, and that opened up the ways for further development in the country. Textile industry of India, we know because of the British rule, and the Britishers ruined it with the help of their policies so that we cannot make any advancement, we cannot have any profit. They bought the cotton cheap from here, took it back to England, and in their factories they made textile cloth out of it. And again, the market available for selling that textile or cloth was again India. That can happen if the weavers were heavily taxed, even if the weavers left their work and the uh, handloom industry was not working properly because of the heavy taxes, and the weavers left their work, and that is why the Indian people had to depend on the foreign cloth made available by the Britishers. So in this way, the textile industry in India was completely ruined by the British rule. Classification of industry in three ways: human labor, ownership, and the source of material, raw material. Human labor, large scale, small scale, where many people work, lots of capital is required, that is called large scale. What is a small scale? Few people are working, few machines are there, and raw material also less is used. The uh, output is also very small, and the capital investment is also small. Then that's called a small scale industry. Ownership, it can be completely private. That means in the hands of an individual or a group of individual, one company or a group of company. That's called private industry. Public industry, total control, management, everything is in the hands of the government. That's called government or public industry. Cooperative, well, lots of people of that same profession get together and set up an industry. That's called cooperative industry. Source of raw material can be only two: either it has to be agro based or it has to be mineral based. In agro industry, this is a list, and we are going to have the map work also, because if we are talking about cotton textile industry, then you should know where to pinpoint on the map several places, because 5 questions are asked in the map. Yes, suppose you are asked to mark wheat growing areas, you mark Punjab. Now you are also asked in the map work to mark a woolen textile. Now woolen textile is also available in Punjab, but you already have that part filled up. So then you must have another option where you can mark a woolen textile industry, because both of them cannot overlap upon each other, right? So you have to show 5 distinct things in the map. right? So it is very necessary for you to know all the cities that are the center of that particular industry, so that if one place is not available, you already have a choice that you can mark up somewhere else in the map. So it is very important to uh, memorize all the centers of that particular industry. We in agro-based industry, we learned all this: cotton textile, jute textile, silk textile, woolen textile, synthetic textile, sugar industry, and paper industry. Right? In mineral-based, we learned lots of minerals. All of them are quite big questions. For example, iron and steel is quite a long question. 3 mark, 4 mark. Same way, aluminum, 3 mark. Then it reduces because content is not more than 3 or 4 points. So copper industry, uh, chemical industry can go for 3 marks, but copper is for 2 marks. Same way, chemical fertilizer industry again can go for 2 mark, 3 mark. Plastic industry quite small, so 2 marks. Cement industry, or both of them can be clubbed and asked for uh, 2 marks. Transport, in that railway, very important because you have lots of things to mention, so it can be a 2 mark, 3 mark question. But roadways is a smaller one. So we have learned up till 9. We continue with our today's lecture: electronic industry. India's electronic industry began with the establishment of industries for manufacturing radio and telephone in 1905. Please remember, we got independence in 1947. All around the world at that time, electronics was still at a very early stage. We can consider 1980, somewhere around which whole of the world together started developing upon the electronic industry, right? So 1980 to 1990, you can even say mid of 1995, till then the boom of electronic industry had already happened elsewhere in the world. So you can say we are somewhere 10 to 15 years late. Indian electronic industry began with the establishment of industries for manufacturing radio and telephone in 1906. Right? So 1905. So what happens? Radio for communication. Mass communication, okay, we had that radio set, we have it even today in the form of FM radio and all that. We are not talking only about that. We are also talking about lots of radio equipments. For example, police people, they use radio frequency, they use radio to communicate. Same way, defense forces, railway, uh, air force, even the private airliners, air traffic control, all of them use radio control, right? So manufacturing of, we are talking about radio on a very broad scale. And telephone, of course, we know telephone industry, we are not talking about the telephone for dialing and all that. That is just an instrument, but lots of things go behind it. For example, establishment of telephone exchange, with through which we talk with each other. So that is that exchange and all its components, equipments, that is what we are talking about. So establishment of that industry we are talking, and then it has to keep on progressing, it has to keep on doing research and development, that is R&D. We have to buy from outside also and then make the same things on our own. So that started after 1905. Please remember this: Bharat Electronics Limited, BEL, was established way back in 1956. This is commercial. 1905, establishment of radio and telephone equipment, that is quite later, right? 1905. But 1956. 1956, we established Bharat Electronics Limited, that is in short known as BEL. The objective of this unit was to produce equipment for Akashvani and Weather Department. The Weather Department and the Akashvani radio, they need lots of equipment, radio equipments, and for that BEL was established in 1956 in Bengaluru. Today, BEL produces various electronic equipments in collaboration with Indian Space Research Organization, that is ISRO, So it produces lots of components, equipments, uh, tools and instruments needed for making the satellites, etc. So we can understand, it's not written over here, but we can understand if BEL is working for ISRO, then ISRO needs to get the components, etc., manufactured from the electronic company. The electronic industry has upgraded the lives of people by providing them means of communication that we know. Yes, radio, it became quite popular after 1910 till nowadays. All these 100 years, uh, radio has become an instrument for mass communication, right? So, entertainment also, we hear news as well as we hear songs, etc. on it. It also has contributed significantly in the national economy also, because it keeps on progressing, and whatever it makes is consumed by the people very eagerly. So there's lots of demand, and this industry is always developing. New and new instrument, we know electronic gadgets keep on coming. People are interested in them, updating themselves, and thus the industry is quite thriving. Bengaluru must resign. If we are asked about what is the Silicon, where is the Silicon Valley in India, then Bengaluru is called Silicon Valley in India. Silicon Valley, it's an iconic place in US, which started with the computerization, right? And then it spread all over the world. So from there, development happened, and then the rest of the world picked up the pace. So in India, we can say it started in Bengaluru, and then it picked up pace, and that is why Silicon Valley in India, that is Bengaluru, it is called the capital of electronic industry. It is also called Silicon Valley of India. Where now what happens over there, right? And in the rest of the country, lots and lots of scientific parks have been opened up so that people can do business over there, set up electronic industries over there. So that this is an encouragement given by the government. So various software parks, science parks, technological parks are established for the development of this industry. Future of this industry is quite bright. Industry is now all the details about agricultural, agro-based industry and mineral-based industry. All of that is complete now. Now we come to the essentials of this chapter. Wherever industry is there, right, lots of pollution is going to happen, right? So that is where we are talking how to curb or control that pollution and how to make an industry that is environment friendly. So these are the three topics that we are going to learn today. Industries pollute the environment. We know there is no doubt that industry forms the basis of the economy of our country. We cannot think of an industry-free nation because industry tells us about the development of that particular country. If we are talking about our country, then the development of the industry is surely going to make India economically far ahead of the others. But we cannot think of an absolute absence of industry, then we cannot have progress without industry. The downside of the industry is increased pollution to a tremendous level, and that has ruined the environment. Wherever industries are there, for the process of making all these things, we need to have certain processes in the industry. Now, for those certain processes, we need fuel, we need fire, and that will cause smoke. Some of that smoke is quite injurious, harmful, but we have to do that in order to continue with the industry and industrial development and industrial progress of the country, and thus the economic progress of our country. So in order to do that, industries are necessary, but then the downside of the industry is that they keep on polluting the environment, they keep on harming the environment. That's a tremendous level of pollution in the country, and many of the major cities, there's a tremendous level of pollution which is uncontrollable, and that has ruined the environment. The reduction in environmental condition arising due to man-induced reason is called environmental degradation. Terminal this is a special terminology that you should know. Environmental degradation, and what is the meaning of that? The reduction in environment conditions are good, But if we pollute the environment with in the air, land, and water, then the capabilities of those environment conditions will come down, reduce, and that is going to not only harm the air, water, and land, but it's going to harm the complete environment, and then in turn we are living in that environment, so it's going to harm us also. So the reduction in environmental condition arising due to man induced, that means induced by men or brought about by men, that reason is called environmental degradation. Industries mainly cause four types of pollution. We already know three types: air pollution, water pollution, and land pollution. The fourth one is noise pollution. This is equally harmful because lots and lots of noise increases our stress level and induces lots of mental diseases and physical harm to us. So noise pollution is the main cause of many of the diseases. Yes. Yeah, for example, you are going by the side of the road, lost in your own thoughts, and all of a sudden, from behind, a speeding truck comes with full blaring or blasting of the horn. हार्ट बीट कैसे बढ़ जाता है, राइट? सो कच्चा पच्चा आदमी होता है तो हार्ट बीट बंद भी हो जाएगा, राइट? सो नॉइज पॉल्यूशन इज क्वाइट डेंजरस, राइट? So this is the fourth type of effects of industrial pollution. First thing is industries, they pollute air and water maximum to the great extent. Air and water is polluted. Now, wherever the industrial garbage containing chemical affluents, which about affluents you have learned in science, right? Chemical affluents are released in water, then the same water is again used by us, so for drinking purpose, for cooking purpose, etc. So if those chemical effluents, they enter our body, then it's not good for the health of our body, right? So in this way, the water pollution, invariably it affects us. Same way, air pollution, if the chemical components, particles which are suspended in the air, we breathe that air, and the same pollutants go into our lungs and they harm us. So in that way, air pollution is quite injurious to our health. So industries, they have polluted air and water to a great extent. Apart from that, land pollution, farmers, they have unrestricted use of chemical fertilizer, chemical pesticides, right? With the help of that, the plants, they not only grab these uh, chemicals, that chemical finds its way into the fruit given by these plants in the form of grain, vegetables, fruits, whatever. And when we eat that grain or fruits, vegetables, that chemicals, they enter our body directly. Now, another way is those chemicals, with along with water, they go into the soil and they spoil the nutrition level of the soil, because chemical components are going to eat away the nutrition part, and the same chemical is again absorbed by the roots, and again they find their way into the fruits given by those plants. So air pollution, land pollution, water pollution, all the three of them, they are quite harmful for all the living beings on the earth. The air has become polluted due to very harmful gases, like the main one is carbon monoxide, which is released from vehicles, and sulfur dioxide, which is released by the chemical industries. By the industries they release. So the main pollutants of atmosphere are carbon monoxide and sulfur dioxide. Many factories breaks the law and release their industrial waste in the rivers, lakes, and stream. Nowadays, the rules and regulations have become very, very strict. Yes, without giving proper water treatment, without giving proper treatment to the gases, either smoke or polluted water should not be allowed to be released in the air or water. But many industries, many factories, they don't care about these things and release the dirty water full of chemicals and effluents into the nearby lake, river, and city, thus not only harming the aquatic life over there, but the same water seeps into under the ground. We pump out that water for drinking purpose. So in that way, it harms us. This has heavily polluted the water. The sound of machines cause noise pollution. We are talking about the cotton textile industry. It's quite huge, and the factory is also quite big, having lots of big machines, and they produce lots and lots of noise. Yes, you even if you shout where the machines are, you won't be able to hear what the other person has said. Right? That much is the noise levels. Constant noise is going to increase the stress level. It's going to give psychological problems of people living nearby who are always absorbing quite a high noise pollution. Right? The sound of machines cause noise pollution. Noise pollution is one of the reasons for deafness in human. If we are considering not the psychological effect, then even physical effects. Continuously high sound is going to harm the ears, and slowly deafness will come in, and that's because of the noise pollution. Old and worn out machineries in industries and means of transport also cause a lots of noise pollution, apart from causing, for example, old machines. And in the same case, old transport vehicles. Yes, you might have seen a truck which is 20 years old still plying on the road, giving out black smoke like anything. Yes, you can't see anything in front of you if one of that truck passes right in. It is because the engine has become too old, and but it is still being run because it's economically not viable to throw away that truck. Right? It's okay, we understand that, but because we are using an engine which has already which is already out of its life cycle, that means it has completed its life cycle. Yes, and we keep on still using it. It's going to use extra fuel, extra oil, extra lubricants, and it's going to give a hell lot of smoke, which is going to increase air pollution. On top of that, old machineries, you buy a new car, you buy a new vehicle, you know a purring sound comes. Sometimes you don't even realize that your engine is running. Yes, it's silent because it's new, right? So in that way, when an old vehicle starts, you're threatened by the noise of that, right? So in that way, old machines, old vehicles, they create a lot of noise pollution also, then they create a lot of pollution also. Noise increases stress and fatigue level, which is not good for the health. Steps to curb. Curb means to control environmental degradation. Industries are the pillars of the national economy, say one way or another, they are the pillars. Yes, they keep the nation going, so they are the strong pillars on which the country's economy is supported, right? So industries, they are the pillars of the national economy. They should be developed to solve several problems of the country. There are lots and lots of problems we are concerned about India. Then one of the foremost that we have already learned is poverty and unemployment. Again, there are lots of social issues which are existing and arising, constantly developing and constantly getting from bad to worse and getting more complicated. The main reason is the industries are not so much developed that it can absorb all the unemployed people and give employment to people. There's money in the hands of the people, and they can make their living standard better. So they should be developed to solve lots of several problems of the country. The country should develop the industries in such a way that industrial progress and development does not cause harm to the environment. So we should have eco-friendly industry, or we should have industries which do not harm or pollute the environment and does degrade it. The amount of pollution and quality of pollution can be reduced with proper planning, methods, and equipment. Lots of pollution can be controlled. For example, uh, we have nowadays, uh, according to the government norms, yes, if any vehicle is 15 years old, then it should not ply on the road. With that one rule, lots and lots of vehicles which are already 15 years or old now comes to a standstill and they do not fly. So that much less pollution, and people will have to buy new vehicles. If they are buying new vehicles, it will be made with the latest rules and regulations keeping in mind of all that, and they will be according to the government norms, conditions, so they will be having less pollution. And the government also emphasizes on using the CNG vehicles rather than the petrol diesel vehicle. So the electronic vehicles are also nowadays gaining speed. So in that way, by discarding the old vehicles, old machineries, we can control the pollution that is created in the environment. Pollution can also be reduced by using correct raw material and fuel. As far as industry is concerned, because proper raw material is not used, so what happens? We need more fuel. Yes, efficient using of the fuel is not done in the industry, and that is why fuel is wasted. Rather than using, there also we can use natural gas instead of coal, but lots of industries this continue using coal even today. Thus it is not cost effective. You have to pay more for coal, and that gives a hell lot of pollution. So instead of that, if we are using switching to machines that use natural gas, then we can use the same industry. We can make use of that industry in some scientific way, in which uh, we are constantly having products from that industry, and at the same time we are not polluting, and we are using scientifically enhanced machines, and we are saving fuel also at the same time. The air pollution can be controlled by using filters, scrubber, precipitors, etc. in the factories wherever possible. For example, smoke भी release करने से पहले it goes through a screen, so that the screen catches most of the hanging particles that keep on hanging or they keep on surviving in the air. That is filtered, and it clogs in the filter and does not allow those pollutions to pass through. In the same way, water also. Water treatment plant should be established in each and every industry which releases dirty water. So their treatment plant should be there, so that very less pollutants are released in the water. Water pollution can be prevented by releasing industrial effluents only after properly treating them. Moreover, industrial water can be purified after treatment and used. That water is not going to be used for drinking purpose. So many times, if the water is not polluted that much, we can filter the water, we can treat the water, and again use that same water rather than using some new water, right? So in this way we complete this chapter. Now let us do some map work. Now students, this map is already given in your material. We'll have just a look, especially what is to be done in a map work, especially from this particular chapter. That is what we are going to learn. Now the first thing that is to be done is the legend. Yes, the Bay of Bengal, that particular space is provided to us in the map for particularly marking the legend. There is lots of empty space over here. It is only water over here, and you don't have to mark anything over here. So legend has to be in the bottom right corner of the map, and on top legend should be written. Legend should be written. Now, second important thing, you should always fix in mind what mark you are going to use for showing a particular marking on a map. Yes, over here first thing given is cotton textile industry. Now you just have to mark one place. So a big dot is given over here. So same way you can create a dot and then fill it up in whichever way you want, right? So that only that one particular mark, this should be shown at one place wherever you are marking. The next question will have another symbol, or it can have another mark. Yes, there are lots and lots of ways in which you can make a mark or a symbol. For example, you are showing cotton textile industry, then you can mark like this and write cotton textile industry here in this legend. Alternately, you can have some symbol, anything that you want. You can write just C over here. So what you do is you mark one point and then write C over here. Then that C should be over here in place of the symbol, and then you should write over there cotton textile industry. So the examiner knows what you have marked from the legend only. Yes, he will not go to see in your map what you have marked for what. Yes, and please do not confuse the examiner regarding what you have marked. Yes, cotton textile industry, that is one of the question. Wheat growing area or region, that is question number 2. So for cotton you write C, for wheat you write W. No, it is wrong, because cotton textile industry is going to be a particular city place, whereas wheat growing region is going to be complete region. It can be a complete state or a part of that state. So marking for region is going to be different. Yes, if I need to show in the same map, yes, when we are discussing this, let us discuss this also. That suppose we are going to grow, question number 1 is show a cotton growing region in the south. We know Tamil Nadu grows, right? So this is Tamil Nadu. This is Tamil Nadu, right? In this Tamil Nadu, you have marked this specific region. You got to border it, and then you have to shade it. Now this is going to be an empty map, just showing you the borders of the state. So this is called, if it is a physical map, inside will be completely plain. If it is a political map, which is going to be provided to you in the board exam also, political map will be provided. That means boundaries of the state will be shown, right? So you just mark that part, that is this part, and then cotton textile industry we see over here in Coimbatore. Now Coimbatore will be overlapping, because you have already shown cotton growing area, or if it is rice growing area, then also it is the same thing, right? And then you are showing this Coimbatore. Now these two things are overlapping. This should not happen in your map. Question number 1 has to be separately marked. Question number 2 has to be separately marked. So you have to find some other place where you can mark. Questions will not be asked in the board paper also where things will be overlapping each other, right? So please understand this. Some of the things where you have to mark a greater area of the state, use shading. Where you have to mark a specific point, a city, then you have to give a symbol. Yes, you have learned lots and lots of symbols in mathematics, science. You can think up of n number of symbols and use them. So this is the legend. A box should be made, symbol should be given, and what is that symbol, what that symbol stands for, so that the examiner will look over here. Okay, this big dot means cotton textile industry, so he is looking over here. Yes, Coimbatore, which is in Tamil Nadu. Another place in Tamil Nadu is Madurai. Yes, so keep chapter number 13 material open. Yes, pick out cotton textile industry, look at the names of the cities that are given in it and match with those given in the map in the material. Yes, so we have cotton textile industry. Yes, now cotton textile industry, this is the legend. Cotton textile industry in Tamil Nadu. Yes, we have Madurai and Coimbatore. Yes, then over here that is Chennai. Now we come to Mumbai. Yes, Mumbai, the Maharashtra, we have Mumbai, the main center, plus Pune, Aurangabad, Jalgaon, Wardha, all of that is given in your material. Yes, this Jalgaon, For example, Jalgaon. Now we don't know where Jalgaon is, right? So we have to memorize that spot where Jalgaon is. If you mark on the map without looking in the original, then instead of here, you might be marking Jalgaon over here. That is okay. That is called approximation. Yes, you do not remember specific point ditto right over there according to the longitude and latitude and all that. Please don't go into details, right? Just have an approximation that Jalgaon was marked somewhere over here. Yes, so this is Maharashtra, then Mumbai, Pune, Aurangabad, Jalgaon, Wardha. You should have an approximation where which place is. Then we come to the rest of India. Now, if we are having Gujarat, Ahmedabad, we know cotton, we know that is a denim city. It is also called Manchester of the East. So Ahmedabad, we know very well where is it. We know in the northern side we have Vadodara, we have Surat. These are the two important textile industries. Rajkot over here, Jamnagar over here, Porbandar over here. So these are the important textile industries in Gujarat. Now we come to Rajasthan. Now we come to Rajasthan. Now if you see over here in Rajasthan, none of the places marked. Now we come to MP. We have Indore, Devas, Ujjain over here. Then Gwalior. Gwalior is also in MP, but Agra is in UP. So you should have an approximation and must have practiced it well so that you know, and you don't mark Agra right over here near Bihar border. So see to it that you know that place as a picture in mind, that if I am asked Agra, Agra is near Delhi. Now you know where Delhi is. I'm marking a small spot over here. This is Delhi. This is Delhi. So what happens is Delhi, Agra. You should have the approximation that Delhi and Agra, you can go. Just it is like Bhavnagar and Ahmedabad, right? Hardly 150 kilometers. It's just you can come back by evening, right? So you should know. Muradabad over here. Then in West Bengal, we have Hooghly, Howrah, Murshidabad. These are the three places of cotton textile industry. Then in Punjab, we have Ludhiana, right? Marked over here. Next, in the same way, we have, next is woolen textile industry. Woolen textile industry, we know in South only one area, that is Bangalore. So you should have a picture of that in mind, that Bangalore, out of the 5 map questions, Bangalore is yet not marked or is not overlapping. J&K is already, some marking has been done over there. Now woolen textile is over there also, but then you can't mark over there because you already marked the complete region over there. So you don't have that spot. You don't even have Punjab, because Punjab you marked somewhere for railways, etc. Right? So now you have a plain area over here where you have not marked. So remember that one of the woolen textile center is in the south also, and that is Bengaluru. So if you have an empty spot, it can help. Now let's see about Bengaluru. Where are the different spots where we have woolen textile? One is in Mumbai, one is in Porbandar over here, then Jaipur in Rajasthan, Gurgaon, Panipat in Haryana, Agra and Shahjahanpur in UP. In UP we also have Mirzapur. Then on the top, Punjab, Amritsar, Ludhiana. They are the hotspots for woolen textile. And on the top we have Baramulla, which is near Srinagar, right? So if you mark Srinagar, nothing wrong in it. They're just adjacent, right? So on a small map, okay, they get mixed up. So you mark Baramulla or you mark Srinagar, that's okay. So these are the woolen textile industry in the country. Next we have silk textile, right? Now the third one, okay, first one was a circular spot, second one legend given was triangle. Yes, you don't have to do any of the marking in color pencil. With color pen, there should not be a single mark of pen on the map, except writing your name and everything on the top. There should be no other marking of pen. Everything inside should be of marked with pencil. So here you have made a circle and filled it up. Next you can have a triangle which can be blank or which can be either filled up with a different pattern. In the same way, a square is given over here. So square you can have like this, you can have the diagonals and you can mark it. So three things are marked over here. All the three symbols are different from each other. So that the examiner, for the examiner, he just looks over here. Where is the silk textile? He sees the symbol and then he finds on the map. So the first thing you do is to make a legend and properly think about the symbols that you are going to use in that 5 mark. Right? There should be 5 separate symbols, quite different from each other. And for the examiner, it should be quite easy for him to work out on the map and see, check that whatever you have done is good enough. Next, this map is also given to you in the material. Let's zoom it. This is iron and steel. Yes, so all those places are already given in the iron and steel industry. Yes, just see them on the map and be familiar which places where. For example, Salem, that is in Tamil Nadu, near Coimbatore. Yes, Coimbatore is over here, Salem is over here. They are quite near to each other. Bhadravati, it's somewhere near Bengaluru, right? This is Jindal Vijayanagar. A place is given. Yes, not necessary for you to remember. In Gujarat, very, very important to note Hajira, where it is. Yeah, you shouldn't mark it somewhere near Porbandar or Jamnagar, Hajira. Then most of that you will find it in Chhattisgarh, Orissa, Jharkhand, Bihar and West Bengal. Most of the iron and steel. So you know Chhattisgarh, it is Bhilai steel plant. Then Orissa, one most important one is Rourkela steel plant. Then you come to Jamshedpur. Please see Jamshedpur in Jharkhand. Jamshedpur and Bokaro steel plant. Jamshedpur, that belongs to the TISCO, and Bokaro steel plant. That is in Jharkhand. In West Bengal, you have 2 places to mark for iron and steel industry. That is Durgapur and Burnpur. These are the few spots. You should have that picture in mind. This is Salem, this is Rourkela, this is Bokaro steel plant, this is Durgapur, this is Jamshedpur. You should know where those things are, right? If you have form a picture in mind, that becomes very, very helpful for memorizing these marks on the map. Now, next one is a mix-up. Again, we have iron and steel. We have already marked that. Cotton textile, we already know. Woolen, we already know. This is for jute and silk. Now, please see jute. We already know jute should be Bangladesh. Bangladesh. That means in India, it should be West Bengal, right? So, this is Bangladesh. You can see a different color over here. This map is given in your material. Yes, let's see what is the symbol for, index symbol for jute industry. So you can see a gunny bag over here. Yes, not necessary you can have any symbol, but then that specific symbol should be placed properly on the map. Now we know West Bengal, Orissa, Bihar, Jharkhand, the eastern part of UP, these are the places where jute industry is found. But mainly it is found at Hooghly. So here you have only one place over here, that is Howrah, Hooghly, you say same thing, right? So Howrah or Hooghly, that is the spot for jute industry. Next is for silk. It's already given in our material, so it will be quite easy for you to silk industry. You see a cocoon is given over here. Yes, not exactly cocoon, it's used in needle and thread. So, do you find any of that shape over here? Yes, Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Jamnagar, Bikaner. These are the places. Shillong over there, and on the top there will be J&K also, right? Next is for sugar industry. So you see, sugar is marked over here like this. So sugar ka bag hai, or the sugar is seen in a heap over here. Aurangabad, Solapur, Satara, Kolhapur. These are all the places, because Maharashtra is the main important one, and after that UP is also there. So uh, you can find these 4 5 spots over here in Maharashtra. Then we come to paper. For paper, we know it is Andhra. So Rajamundri, that's the place over here. Bhadravati also, and Mettur, all of them in south. We have Nepanagar over here in UP. So in MP, right? So these are the places. Chemical industry, we know Gujarat is foremost, Maharashtra is there. So Gujarat, this is Ahmedabad, Vadodara, Ankleshwar, Bharuch. These are the places for chemical industry. Then chemical fertilizer. Again, we have Hajira, and we have Ankleshwar, Bharuch, Vadodara. There also chemical fertilizer industries are there. All of that is given over here. More important one is copper. That will be only one. That is Ghatshila. Remember when we were discussing copper refining, at that time we spoke about Ghatshila. It's a very important place to mark, and you should have it in your mind. The most important one, railway engines. One you can see in Varanasi is Jamshedpur. The places are given in your material. The map is also given. Yes, you can match it. uh, Aviation industry, fighter planes, parts, etc. It is over here in Hyderabad. It's in Nasik. It's in Bengaluru. So shipbuilding, you always find over here. Don't mark shipbuilding right in the center where there is no sea. It should be on the sides. You know the famous places. One is Vishakhapatnam. You can see Vishakhapatnam over here, right? Vishakhapatnam, that's in Andhra. This is Odisha. So please don't mix up these things. Electronic devices, you can mark Bangalore always. Passenger coach, Kapurthala. Then you have Kolkata over there, right? Varanasi, you can see an engine over here, right? Lucknow, you can see a jet plane over there. So parts and all. So with this map work also, we complete this chapter number 13 is, and you will have to do lots of map work. Ideal advice for map work is you take up one particular industry on one map only and mark all those places. Suppose iron and steel, it goes in one map. Don't take up 2 3 industry and put it on the map, then you won't be able to visualize it or remember it. So I know it will take up lots and lots of maps, but then your picture will be clear. If I'm talking about railway industry, then railway industry, engine and passenger coaches, both of them will go in one map, so that I have that map ready in my mind, and I just have to close my eyes, visualize it. Okay, here it is, right? So in that way, imaging the map in your mind helps a lot, and for that you will have to make individual maps for individual industries. Thank you, students.